The Executive Secretary of the Universal Basic Education Commission, Dr. Aisha Garba, has unveiled 3 key national instruments aimed at strengthening inclusive and spatial education in Nigeria's basic education system, with a renewed commitment to ensuring that no child is denied access to quality education because of disability or functional challenges. Speaking of the National Stakeholder Engagement on the utilization of the National Spatial and Inclusive Basic Education Minimum Standards, Implementation Guidelines and Functional Difficulty Early Identification Tool in Abuja, Garba said the initiative marks a significant step towards improving state capacity for the effective implementation of inclusive education nationwide. Represented by the Deputy Executive Technical, Dr. Rasaq Akinyemi, the UBEC boss noted that despite improvement in school enrollment over the years, children with disabilities continue to face barriers to enrollment, participation, progression, and learning outcomes. Citing findings by UNESCO and UNICEF, Garba said inadequate early identification of disabilities, inaccessible learning environments, and insufficient teacher preparedness remain major obstacles to inclusive education, making practical implementation of policies more urgent than ever.
UNESCO estimates that Nigerians with disabilities are significantly less likely to complete the basic education than their peers, meaning that children with disability are not likely to complete their education with their peers. While UNICEF consistently reports that inadequate learning, early identification, inaccessible learning environment, and limited teachers' preparedness remain among the major barriers to inclusive education globally.
The UBEC Executive Secretary announced the introduction of 3 national frameworks to strengthen inclusive basic education across Nigeria, stressing that the success will depend not merely on the availability of standards and guidelines, but on strong institutional capacity, coordinated implementation, and continuous monitoring at all levels.
The Basic Education Commission has therefore developed 3 contemporary national instruments to strengthen inclusive education delivery across Nigeria. The first is National Special Inclusive Basic Education Minimum Standard, which establishes measurable benchmark for governance, school infrastructure, accessibility, teachers, competencies, curriculum adaptation, assistive technology, learning assessments, safeguarding, and quality assurance. This standard provides nationally harmonized framework that promotes consistency, accountability, and equity across the basic education.
Earlier, the Acting Director of Special Programs in Early Childhood, Dr. Chijoke Onuzuwike, and other speakers described the training as a strategic intervention aimed at bridging the gap between inclusive education policies and implementation at the state and school levels.
Who receive early identification and intervention during the first year of life experience significant improvements in education, behavior, communication, and social outcomes compared with those whose developmental difficulties are identified much later in life.
Together we can help create a more inclusive education system where every child has the opportunity to learn, participate, and thrive.
The 2-day capacity building workshop for directors of special programs and special education was attended by desk officers from the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory to strengthen the implementation of inclusive and special education across Nigeria. CNN News.